Right, welcome ladies and gents. Let's talk Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This will be my spoiler review, but very quickly for non-spoilers, this film is a bad film. It has terrible pacing, very unlikable characters. It's a jumbled up narrative, so there's a lot of stories all over the place and they don't quite combine properly. You'll see a lot of reviewers, because I've seen them too, where they're like, oh, a little bit disjointed and, some good ideas, but they're sugarcoating it. Alright, it's a jumbled up mess. It really is. And that lends itself quite nicely to the first point of this spoiler review. So, spoilers now, is that this film was written. And then obviously, tragically, Chadwick Boseman died. So then they've gone back and shoehorned elements into this film. Supposedly, because that's what they've been saying on the press tour, was that this film was already written and then he tragically passed. It is tragic, okay? Like, of course, it's sad that someone's died. Of course it is. But they should have recast him. Just like they have done for other MCU characters. General Thunderbolt Ross, for instance. Character's been recast with Harrison Ford. That actor died. Why did you do one but not the other? It's odd. And if you're going to say that this film is, his legacy and it's our way of saying goodbye, you should have come up with a much, much better way to say goodbye. The reason why T'Challa dies in this film is because he's too proud to go and ask for help. Quite insulting, actually, really, when you think about it. He has a mysterious disease. Don't explain it. But he suffers in silence up until the last minute, where he then obviously lets Shuri know. Shuri doesn't have enough time to heal him. And so he dies. Pathetic. What a pathetic way to kill someone off. Right? They were banging on about this film being his legacy and things like that. If that was my legacy, I would genuinely be offended. If I'm dead and that's how they killed me off in like a media device, I would be offended. I'd come back and haunt your ass. It was shite. Now the reason why he dies is because Shuri doesn't have enough time to synthesize the heart-shaped herb. Sure, whatever. But she has a couple of minutes to do it, and she gets a 30% positive rate. Right? So she could have done it given enough time, I'm sure. But he dies, and then they start this procession, which is supposed to be really sad. Everyone's really gloomy, everyone's sad. But then there's people dancing. Some of them are really sad. Some of them have this shit-eating grin on their face, dancing around the streets. You're like, what is this? What is this? Awful. Make your mind up tonally what film you are. Now, obviously, this film then, continues with the Chadwick Boseman death during the film, right? Shuri's sort of damaged and doesn't want to, let go and things like this. And that's why, there's no Black Panther anymore, because no one can take up the mantle, because there's no heart-shaped herb, but obviously she could synthesize it. Of course she could. And then from there, because there's no Black Panther, other UN states, United Nations, are like trying to steal vibranium off them. And they're like, that's an act of war. Surely you just take it, you're there, because they have Angela Bassett's Queen in the UN, right, in front of everyone. And then they're like, yeah, we actually stopped you guys from trying to steal vibranium from one of our outposts. Here they are, and it's French as well. They're French mercenaries. You'd think that would get everyone else on side, but they're like, oh no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. This film has blatant racism throughout, towards Mexicans, towards white people, and then also just like randomly inserted racism towards black people, or perpetuation of sort of past grievances, pillaging lands and things like this of resources. It's very strange. It's a really strange hodgepodge. So obviously, after the mercenaries come and go, they leave the UN. There is an attack on a vessel, a CIA vessel, a Department of Defense vessel in the Atlantic Ocean. They have managed to find vibranium. They're like, oh, vibranium. So they find vibranium, but then, someone attacks them. Who is it? Well, it's Namor, of course. Talocan attacks them. And this then sets off a chain of events. So Namor then goes direct to Wakanda. He just swims in, and he actually asks something really quite reasonable, I thought. He's like, look, you guys revealed vibranium to the world. Now they're hunting it. We have vibranium. You've brought this issue to our doorstep. Can you help us? And they're like, no. Are you unreasonable fucks? Like, what do you mean no? So he's got a reasonable proposition. Like, it's literally your fault. And it's actually the Queen's pig ignorance, because that's what it is. It's her pig ignorance of any other place having vibranium that leads this entire situation to occur. She dies in the end, and you can't help but think to yourself, you're literally the reason why this happened. Because, and I'll get to it, why she's the reason why her death actually happens. Namor says, look, you've got to find the scientist that built the device that could find vibranium, and bring her to me, whatever the scientist is, or else, I won't wage war on Wakanda, basically. They find the scientist. It's Riri Williams, who is a awful character in this. She is incredibly unlikable. Our sort of first instance of seeing this character, she's taking money off of other students because she did their homework. And you're like, what? But she's also trying to strong arm them. She's like, oh yeah, no, $800 was yesterday's price. You haven't paid me, so today's $1,000. You're like, what an arsehole. Right? Like, what are you doing? Not a likable person at all. It's Shuri and Okoye that go and find Riri Williams. Okoye suggests to the Queen, Shuri should come with me. It might do her good. The Queen agrees. This is important. She agrees. They then go. They capture Riri Williams. They get Riri. But then obviously feds are not far behind because they think that, well, they're trying to get her as well to keep her safe or whatever. And then this leads to the Talocan coming to try and grab the scientist, Riri Williams. And Shuri goes, take me to see Namor. Please don't hurt Riri. Sure, they go, right? So Shuri is taken by choice, but also the entire situation is instigated because Angela Bassett's Queen character allows it to happen. Okoye goes back to the Queen and is literally pleading forgiveness. Please let me make this right. And Angela Bassett's Queen blames her. It's like, no, you are part to blame for this, you pleb. Like, haven't I not given enough? Well, why did you agree to it, you dickhead? Oh, it's such nonsense. Anyway, whilst all this is happening, Namor is, fishing around down Talocan. And we learn a bit of his backstory. Do you know how he got his name? Because his enemies call him Namor. What enemies? No one knows you. And you'd have to literally tell them your name before they could say your name. How did he get his name? Spanish conquistador. So his backstory is that, a shaman saw that these guys must, leave their lands, Mayan culture, whatever, must leave their lands, but they find a herb growing out of a piece of vibranium, similar to the heart-shaped herb, but it's not. All of this village take the herb. One of them is pregnant and give birth to Namor, right? So it's this half-breed, mutant thing. Okay, that's Namor. Check this out. He's got a mother. He watches her grow old. She dies. She gave him a name. And her dying wish was for her to be buried on land in the soil of, her ancestors. So they go to do that. And Namor sees, a bunch of Mayans or whatever they are now, enslaved by these people. They then kill them all. And one is dying and goes, or one is about to die and goes, you're the demon, you're the son of Satan, blah, 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 see no more. The boy without love. And it's like, but he is, but what? What, yeah, now, because his mother's died. But he had an entire lifetime with her, because she grew old and died. And just because he ages slowly, doesn't mean he's the boy without love. He's a god to all of his people. One, that Spanish translation doesn't lead to Namor. That doesn't make any sense anyway, dipshit. But the whole thing doesn't make any sense. You have a name. Your mother gave you the name. Why would you go, yeah, I'm the boy without love. I've just buried my mother. Sure, I'm going to call myself Namor. Wouldn't you honour your mother's death, you dipshit? Wouldn't you honour that? Wouldn't you honour the name she gave you? Because it's not Kukulkan or whatever it is. That's not the name she gave you. I doubt it, anyway. Awful, terrible. Anyway, because of this, he builds, the underwater city of Talocan. He's basically, lorded over as a god. And he essentially wants to strike the land dwellers before they strike him. But anyway, Shuri goes to the land of Talocan and sees them all. And literally, this is her being rescued by Nakia. Nakia stops Shuri from healing one of the Talocanians, or whatever they're fucking well called. So she dies, which obviously is an act of war. Then that leads... So it's Nakia and the Queen's fault that the war happens. Because Namor comes home and goes, you've killed one of my people. Princess has escaped. I'm going to go wage war on Wakanda now. It's a pretty reasonable stance to have. You've literally waged war in his home. What are you doing? Nakia, if you just let Shuri heal her, she's literally like, I can heal her. No, it'll be an act of war, I can heal her. Nakia's like, nah, man, we're going. Why? You poop holes. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, Angela Bassett's queen dies. Everyone's all very sad. There's a power vacuum. M'Baku's barely in this. Shuri then takes a gift that Namor gave her, which has strands from the herb that they all had, not Wakandans had. She synthesizes the heart-shaped herb and then becomes the new Black Panther. Riri Williams builds an Iron Heart armor with spaces for cornrows in the head, in the helmet. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it's awful. The CGI is awful. The colour palette is awful. It's utter nonsense. She's an incredibly unlikable character. And you're like, I don't care if you die. You're a dipshit. They then go to war with the Talocan because Shuri's not happy that when she went to the ancestral plane, she saw Killmonger. Who cares? But he was like, nah, you're like, this is the thing, right? She becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because she sees Killmonger, and Killmonger's like, yeah, you're more like me than anyone else. And she's like, nah. It's like, yeah, but you're... And then she comes back to the normal plane, and then she's just acting like Killmonger. It's like, you're a dipshit. This whole film sucks. The first film... Oh, I'll continue to... Because the ending's ridiculous as well. They have this massive fight on board a ship. Lasts about 10 minutes or something like that. It just dragged or it went quick. I can't really remember. My popcorn had ran out by that point, and I was getting mega bored. They have this massive fight. Shuri captures Namor, attempts to dry him out because that's where his source of his power is from. They have a big epic fight. It's not that epic. It's all CG. Like it's an entirely CG created Black Panther. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. She gets stabbed. A whole spear right the way through her. Literally in one end, out the other. Massive spear. She snaps it off. And heals herself instantly somehow. How does that work? Huh? How does that work? She goes to go and kill Namor, but then she sees Angela Bassett, her mother, and she's like, show him mercy, show him who you are. So she does, and then they do a peace offering. That's the end of that. It was crap. The first one was really good. It was all about fatherhood. Strong male characters, fathering children and the impact of legacy and things like that. This is a jumbled up mess. They end the film with T'Challa's son without a father. There's just this whole message is you're fine without your parents, apparently. It's like, no, it's the wrong message. And he's like, yeah, my name's T'Challa, Prince T'Challa, son of King T'Challa. It's like, I don't care. Couldn't give a shit. You feel shoehorned in. This whole film sucks. Yeah, it's just not very good, to be honest. They make Bilbo Baggins' agent character a bitch. His ex-wife is tapping his phone and stuff and snooping on him, or ex-partner, whatever. So he's a moron. Riri Williams sucks, leaves without any armor, but she's the bestest, so I'm sure she'll make another one and it'll be better. Okoye, again, that whole begging and pleading thing went nowhere. Absolutely pointless to do that. She gets new armor, Midnight Angel or something like that. That looks ridiculous. The whole thing's crap, garbage film. I wouldn't recommend it. It was genuinely boring. This is too long a film to be boring.